as soon as we can.
Yes, so it's going to go, and then you know how it works. I
Yep.
love it because I've had to explain it a couple times, and it's confusing. I mean, thank God Brian helped me.
Oh, I know,
Um,
me too.
it was so good. I taught Ebeth Brazal. I have to tell you that story too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I helped her. All right, so we are officially live. How's everybody
Yeah,
doing?
so good. I'm
What's
good.
going
How's everybody
on?
out there?
I'm so excited to have you, my friend. This is my dear friend, the amazingly talented Theresa Smith-Levin from Central Florida Vocal Arts on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy we have a way to still connect and hang out, even
I
though
know, isn't it
we can't be in
awesome?
person. It really is. I am pleasantly surprised with the quality of everything and with our ability to still connect. Thank you, technology. I've talked, I've said not nice things about you in the past, technology, but I am thankful for you today.
You know what's funny is I was telling you earlier that, and I'm sharing, guys. So if you guys see me not
Me
look at
too.
Teresa, don't give me a hard time later. Um, I fought it. I was like, there's no way you can capture this stuff um, with somebody because I'm such a touchy feely human being, and I want, you know, I want to be near you. I want to see your
Mhm.
body language, but this really does allow you to capture that,
I agree.
which I absolutely love.
Well, and I think we have to ask ourselves, what's the alternative? We can't be together. Do we just completely give up? Do we say like, oh, well, I guess we can't do this anymore? Or do we prove that we are innovative and resilient in the face of what is absolutely a challenge?
Exactly. So I want to talk about that resilience in a minute, but give those people who I don't know why they wouldn't know you from the show, but give these people, our wonderful audience, a little bit of background on you and Central Florida Vocal Arts.
My pleasure. So, my name is Theresa Smith-Levin. I am the founder and executive director of Central Florida Vocal Arts and the executive director of Opera del Sol. I am a singer, performer, voice teacher, mommy, wife, community advocate, a person who wants good things for all of us. I grew up in Winter Park. I still live in Winter Park. I went to UCF. I went to Winter Park
Me
High
too.
School. Yeah, it's a good place to be.
Good
Go
place.
Knights.
Go
And
night.
then my master's at Miami, and I am just thankful for all the wonderful, beautiful art that I have in my life, and the amazing people I get to work with, and the deep connections that we have with our community.
I love it. All right. So I'm going to ask my next question, and I'm going to ask you to do something that I know you don't do that
Okay.
often unless you're performing and speak louder.
Okay. Speak louder. You've got it.
I mean, I knew you could
Yeah.
go right to it. So
Yeah.
tell us about Central Florida Vocal Arts.
Absolutely. So I founded Central Florida Vocal Arts in 2012, and we're an organization dedicated to creating a sustainable life cycle for vocal arts in our community and innovating opera in reimagining what the vocal arts can be. So we start with youth artists. We provide platforms for them to train and learn about what it means to be a performer, but also to cultivate a love of the arts and understanding of the arts, and then helping some of those students to move on to perform with us in our main stage series, to be performing alongside professional artists. And then our third incarnation is Opera del Sol, where we're really innovative and reimagining what opera can be. So that might look like having a burlesque performer singing a Mozart aria. That might look like what we were preparing for the Orlando Fringe Festival, which was telling the story of opioid addiction in our community through modern music fused with Mozart's Requiem. So, really reimagining what this means and what opera looks like in our community, and telling stories that are relevant to what our community is going through, and connecting with people in a new and meaningful way.
I love it. I obviously, I think I met you. We met through Nicole
Mm-hmm.
with Opera del Sol,
Mm-hmm.
hashtag making opera sexy again, I think was
Absolutely. Hashtag.
a
Yep.
fantastic hashtag. I love, I feel like our arts community really does come together. There's so much collaboration, especially now. So I
Yes.
want to talk a little bit about that. One of the groups, obviously you're on, that I want to help support are the arts groups and the artists because all gigs got canceled. Any kind of
Yep.
fundraisers have been canceled, at least
Yep.
in-person ones. No plays are being performed unless you're doing virtual. I mean, pretty much as businesses shut down, so did the artists. And a lot of those artists, that is what they do full time.
Yeah.
And so it is a challenge out there, like any business is being challenged right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing to stay ahead of that? You've got a couple of upcoming events. What are you doing in the virtual world to stay ahead of the I can't meet in person, we can't do stuff
Right.
in person.
So I think one of the things I heard somebody talk about earlier today is it's changing by the hour. You know, we realized March 12th was sort of the D-Day for the arts, if you will. I had actually been working with Leadership Winter Park and hosting their Arts and Culture Day, being a facilitator that day. And I was with Joshua Vickery from CFC Arts. I was with Heather Alexander from Winter Park Playhouse. I was with Chelsea Highland from the Annie Russell. And we were all like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And we were supposed to open our production of Nine last Friday. And
That's
so we
right. Oh
were,
my gosh, I literally forgot about that.
yeah,
So much work that you put into that.
we were just 2 weeks from opening. I mean, it was ready to rock and roll. And
It's heartbreaking.
that Wednesday night, so Thursday was the drop dead day. So Wednesday night, I had been at rehearsal and I was supposed to go to a Magic game the next day with my husband. And I saw the NBA cancel their season that Wednesday night. And I was like, oh, wow, this is real. I thought the NBA is canceling. Like, there's no way we as arts, we're going to have to cancel. We're going to have to, which it's like a death. It's such grief at first to know that this thing that you've worked so hard on, we're still going to do it, but it has to be postponed. Isn't going to happen the way that you had prepared it. So that was really hard. But the next day we all got together, realized like this was going to have to be something that we were all going to do. So we made that decision. And at first we thought, all right, we're going to get together in a small group and do a performance. And that's what our first Friday Night Live was going to be. We were going to get a small group together and do it at the Women's Club. Well, then we realized like, nope, can't even do that. So
Nope.
Zoom stock must be soaring right
It's
now.
crazy, right? It's a godsend. I mean, it's really a blessing. Honestly.
Truly. So I became familiar with this platform last summer. I was at American Express Women in Music Leadership, and they used this platform to do a lot of different things. And so I fell in love with that. So I was thankful that I was familiar with this already. And then Brian Sikorsky, who you and I both love, he's the vice president of
Amazing.
our board, explained to me, like, you can go live and it's not hard to do from Zoom. So I could have all of these people that were going to get together at the Women's Club come together here in a gallery view. I could have, up to 100 people together, and we could sing and we could talk about what we were going through. So that was our first parlay into performance on the interwebs, if you will, was last Friday with our Friday Night Live. And it went extraordinarily well. I had very little sort of expectation for it, but I was super pleased. And so then we thought, okay, let's do more of this. And so tonight, there's Opera del Sol is doing Thirsty Thursday with Olivia Fye. And so she's going to be performing. Nicole and she will be enjoying some adult beverages. And there's also going to be some opera trivia and prizes. So I went through to see like what we still had. We have gift cards to get food, and everybody is doing takeout. So great. You can win a $15 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings if you get the opera trivia right. And I think what they're trying to do is tell badly explained plots to operas and seeing if you can still guess what the opera is.
I love
that. Should be a lot of fun. So we're doing that tonight. We have Friday Night Live tomorrow night. And I've got a Music of the Night masquerade. Anybody who joined us for that last summer, we have a little reunion of sorts taking place. So I have Michael John Foster coming on, Kit Cleto, who we love, coming on, Stephanie McCraney, Stephanie Newman, who is my good friend from grad school. She and her husband, Ivan Conrad, they're coming on. They actually live in New York. And so they fortunately are not up there right now. They're in New Mexico because they were performing there. And that's where his family lives. So they're staying there. So we've got people all over the country joining us. So I'm very excited about that. And then the other thing that we've been doing digitally is this hashtag that we've been using, Making Art Heals Hearts. And one of the things that I found as this all started to evolve is I was looking at my Facebook feed, my social media feed, and I was just so overwhelmed with the magnitude of what was going on. And I don't want to say negativity because it's not negative, but just the anxiety, the scariness of all of this. And I think it's true. Everybody's experiencing this. When it gets to be too much, what do? You turn on Netflix, you find an escape from that. And so what better way for us as artists to find an escape from that than to make art and share that with everyone. And so not just singers, but Nicole, for instance, did a makeup tutorial that she sped that up so you could see her art, because that's,
Oh, I love that
yeah,
idea.
that's her art. My friend Diana Griffith, who runs Orlando Lady Boss podcast, she showed us a beautiful painting that she did sped up in time. Singers are doing things. Children, your little people singing. That's art. All of this is art. So anything that uplifts and inspires, in my opinion, is art. That might be cooking a beautiful meal. Who's to say what art is? I think it's a very open-ended definition. But in that regard, share whatever sort of inspires you and brings positivity to your day so that we can share that with each other. And so that's what hashtag Making Art Heals Hearts is all about.
I love it.
Yeah. And so with that, we started a fundraiser because,
Oh yeah, talk about the fundraiser.
so March 12th, I looked at that and was like, okay, so this is obviously, we're not going to be doing our production. So we've invested all of these monies into doing Nine, and just so people understand, like, what does that mean? When you decide to do a show, you have to license a show. So you pay for the rights for a show. So that's several $1,000s before you sell a ticket. You're just several $1,000s out that to just be allowed to perform it. Then if you're using any equity actors, which we did, you're paying for those equity actors for their salaries as well as their pension, their health care. So you have that contract that you're paying for. Then you're paying a deposit on the venue that you're renting, because we don't own our own venue. So paying that to the Orlando Repertory Theater. Then any investments that you've made in props, in tracks, in rehearsal pianists. And so all of these different costs that come up front in regard to a production that then gets paid off by advertisers and ticket sales. Well, you can't have advertisers if you don't have a show. You can't have
Correct.
ticket sales if you don't have a show. So all those costs are what they are. And we fully intend to do this production in the fall when it's safe for all of us to gather again. But those are just going to be losses until then. A lot of our revenue comes from person-to-person teaching. So there's going to be revenue loss in regard to voice lessons. But I will tell you, Zoom is, I would say, 90% of what you get in a real life voice lesson you can do on Zoom. So I
I
am
was
a
going to
huge
say, we
advocate for
talked
that.
about that earlier. I want to point that out. I think that people need to be not afraid of, if you can do business like this, if you can figure out how to do it, which I'd be happy to show you, because kudos and shout out
Ditto.
from both of us to Brian Sikorsky from, he's
Orlando
amazing,
Fringe,
French
he's amazing.
guy. He's the best. And so I learned it. And if an old dog can learn it, you all can learn it. That's for sure.
Well, and I'm going to caveat that with, like, I've explained to my husband that I will not learn how to use the remote control in our house because it's too complicated for me. Like, I've decided there's like a capacity in my brain that can learn, and the TV remote control isn't one of them. So he has to do that. And still, I figured out how to use Zoom and how to live stream to Facebook. So if I can't use the remote control, but I can do this, that is how simple that is.
I think
So
it's going to
yes,
open doors too. I want to ask you about that before we get into,
absolutely.
um, because I think people love to hear what you are doing to
Mm-hmm.
remain positive, where you're thinking this is going from a positive perspective, the
Absolutely.
opportunities. So talk about what you do in your daily life that you stay focused. You have two children, two beautiful children,
I
so
do. Mhm.
you have to stay focused whether you want to or not. But how do you remain positive?
So I find a lot of my self-worth, whether this is good, bad, or otherwise, in achievement, in being able to have tangible results of the efforts that I'm putting out into the world. That gives me joy. That makes me feel like who I am. So I've seen a lot of people post about, like, don't get caught up in this sense of needing to be super productive during COVID-19. And I think everybody should do what's right for them. But for me personally, I have to be productive because
Me too.
I would be so sad if I wasn't. I wouldn't feel like myself. I wouldn't be Theresa at the end of the day if I wasn't. So, I took a couple days, like, what are we going to do? And I said, okay, let's look at all the opportunity that comes with this, because it really is an opportunity to innovate. So one of the first things I said, let's work on our systems and procedures manual, because that's something I've been putting off. Let's get that done. That's a great idea. Well, why can't we also, start streaming classes to anyone in the country that wants to do classes? So I just got off a call with Edith Bush Institute, and they were mostly talking about how to speak to your donors. And we do have some great donors, don't get me wrong, but we are a smaller organization. So most of our revenue comes from services. So I'm looking at donors more like my students, my artists, my clients. So how do I communicate with them? What are we going to give to them? How are we going to impact them during this time? So let's give them the opportunity to continue to grow as artists, to receive this training in their own homes, because everybody is sitting at home so bored with so much time. How many people have said, like, I've always wanted to learn to sing? Well, girlfriend, now's the time to do it, because you have the opportunity to do that. Learn how to sing. So Nicole and I had this idea. She brought this up to me yesterday, and she's like, do you think I'm crazy? She said, what if, Theresa, you gave me a voice lesson and we live streamed it to Facebook? So
I
somebody
love it.
what a first time voice lesson looks like. And that it's not scary and that it's totally feasible on this platform. So we have plans next week for me to teach Nicole a first voice lesson so people can see, like,
That's
yes,
the
you can do this.
creativity though. You know, people will say, and I've had people message me after we talk, especially anybody in the arts, well, they're a creative naturally. Yes, but I mean, you could still think differently. You just have to not, you have to figure out how you take what you do and make it work on this platform, this type of platform. And I
Right.
love that because that is educational. It's
Mhm.
probably going to have some laughs if I know you too.
Yeah,
And then it's going
absolutely.
to take away some of that fear, and that's entertaining. I love that meme that says, well, I finished Netflix. I mean, I think people are looking for something
They
else to
are.
do. They really are. And something entertaining but educational really does the 1-2 punch. And I can't wait to tune into that because I'd like
It
to
should
see
be
it.
fun. It
I
should be
love it.
fun. Well, and I think, what better time for all the things that you've said you've wanted to learn how to do? Because I was talking with my director of dance, I was talking with Nicole, and all of us have these different things to offer. Like, one of the things that we've talked about for years wanting to offer in our educational portfolio is a music theory sightseeing class for professional musical theater performers, because there's so many professional musical theater performers who don't have the background in the music theory, who aren't able to sight read. Well, I literally taught that at Valencia College, but I just haven't had a chance to offer that to the community. I think that that's something that we should start, that it's a, pay what you can, make it a $5 minimum, and then I can have 20 musical theater performers on Zoom where I'm teaching a lesson, and then they're able to in real time raise their hand and ask a question like, Theresa, I don't really understand what you mean when you say go to the last sharp and raise it a half step and that's your key. What does that mean? I can go, oh, well, it's super easy. It's like when you read a book left to right and you're just identifying what that is, and like on a keyboard, explaining that to them in real time. That's something I haven't had the opportunity to do before
I
this.
love it.
A makeup tutorial with Nicole, who is arguably the best makeup artist in town, to be able to learn to do like beauty makeup or age makeup or prosthetic application. I have 2 degrees in professional performance and I don't know how to do
Well, and
prosthetics
people will be
application.
fascinated to see it's not
Yeah.
just applying your basic Max Factor. I have no idea about Kylie lip kits. I hear that in
Uh-huh.
the house a
Yes.
lot. So yeah, it's not just about that, but how cool to talk about the prosthetics. And there's all
Absolutely.
different kinds. When I had somebody dress me, I call it decorate me to be the Mad Hatter for a fundraising event. I was
Mm-hmm.
amazed at the amount of different makeups and things that had to be used and powders, and you just don't know. And
Right.
how fun we taped a little bit of it, and how
Mm-hmm.
fun that was to look back at that and see what she did. So I'm glad you're
Absolutely.
doing that. So glad you're doing
Absolutely.
that with her.
So I think it just comes down to, like, in the face of crisis, which is what this is. Like, let's be clear, this is a crisis. So
Agreed.
in the face of crisis, do we freeze? Do we give up? Or do we fight? I'm gonna fight for it. Like, we've worked really
Fight
hard to
every
build
day.
something. We're gonna fight, and we're not gonna give up, and we're not just gonna throw in the towel, even though, sometimes you might feel like you want to, and you might have days where you go, I can't do any more today, and that's okay. But tomorrow you get up and you try again, and you're resilient in the face of something that is really, really
I
scary.
love that. Before we do our Making Art Heals Hearts, I really want to focus on something you said earlier, which I've been meaning to, and you reminded me. For those of you who are out there, and we're doing these small business shows, and you're posting on social media, you're doing whatever you can. It doesn't matter if you're a restaurant or I don't care what the business is. Theresa just said, there's a cost involved to the one class, $5 minimum donation. I understand that you have your prices pre-COVID, but I want to encourage you to take a look. Some people they want to, especially if you are doing a business and you charge $100. Well, maybe if you charge 90,
Mm-hmm.
90 is better than zero. And I think a lot of people get turned off. They're like, well, I'm not getting the same experience with XYZ business. Why am I paying the same thing? And I just want you guys to encourage. I know you have overhead. I'm not knocking you, but I think you ought to think about the pricing. A lot of the restaurants, for example, have been super creative, and they have the family of four family meals. I think that's so amazing. That's creative. You get so much for the price. If you're not doing something like that in your business, I think you're missing out. If you're holding tight to your prices and you're not getting any sales, one sale at a little bit less money is better than zero sales. So just want to encourage you all to follow Theresa's lead. Really think about how you're pricing. I know you have overhead. I know you have bills to pay, but I want you to really think about it. How many orders are coming in? If they're coming in amazingly well, do what you're doing. If they're not, rethink your pricing a little bit.
Well, shout out to Four Rivers Hospitality Group and Park Lights, because they're doing great stuff with that. We ordered one of the family meals from Luke's the other night, and it was supposed to feed 3 to 4. It was ribs, sides, all this. I am still eating it, and it's Thursday. We ordered it on Sunday. Like, I'm like, this was like the best $50 I've spent in a while.
Correct, right? So it's priced right.
Mm-hmm.
And that is important. It's so, well, John does such a great job anyway, but that's just so important. So I just want to encourage the business owners out there that message me and go, I'm not getting any business. And then I look at their price list or the thing that they're putting out there, and it's the exact same as if they were doing business in pre-COVID years. Well, adjust.
Well, look at it like marketing too, right? If you were selling granola, right, you would need to go to the grocery store and give out samples of granola for people to know that they liked your granola, right? So look at it as marketing. It's an opportunity to acquire a new client in a time that is less than ideal. So if you need to write it off as marketing or whatever you need to do, because that really is what you're doing here, you're reaching new people who are in need of your services in a new way. Be innovative, fight, try something different.
I love the fight part. It's so good. Fight for it. And if you're struggle, we're all struggling. So there are days that I get up and I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this again. What am I doing? And you just have to keep pushing through. What's the alternative? There really isn't one. And I feel bad for my friends who've gotten furloughed or laid off or things have closed. It's difficult out there. Let's try to figure out how to get you the things. We were talking about the loans available and the stimulus package. I have a 5 o'clock show with Paul Oster, who is going to talk about SBA loans and credit. I think there's so much information out there. People just don't know. Well, don't just get so paralyzed by not knowing that you don't do something. It can be overwhelming, but take one step at a time. All right, so let's talk about, we're going to do a little duet, maybe a few bars, because that's and they're not the good kind of bars. I mean, they are singing bars, not the bars I want.
Those are good bars, but there are other good bars.
Still a bar. I get to say that word out loud, which is
my
really
bar behind me.
Oh yeah, my bar is right here and not far.
Yeah.
So Theresa picked. So we're gonna sing a little bit. I'm gonna follow her lead. I'm the worst at harmonizing, so it should be fascinating to see if I can even jump in there and not sound like a dying dog or a dying anything.
I think you're a great singer. Like I think that you and I should do a trial lesson too, like just for fun.
I should do a try. I will absolutely do that. And Nicole said she's crying listening to this because we gave her such a big shout out. She's amazing.
She is amazing.
So Let It Be is the song you chose. And so I'm going to do my best. You guys, if I can't harmonize, I'm not going to ruin her song. So I'm going to jump in when I can, but this will be my contribution to at least the beginning one, Making Art Heals Hearts. So
this is our hashtag Making Art Heals Hearts. Look it up on Facebook. It's a fundraiser. We've set a $50,000 goal because that's how much we project is our loss of revenue between now and the end of May. We're a little over $5,000 right now. So if something touched you, inspired you, I will drop the link into the comments too, so you can link there. But Ted and I are going to sing a little bit of Let It Be. I didn't really prepare anything as much as I was like,
I obviously did not either. I didn't do my vocal lesson this morning or my.
I haven't taught either, so I haven't warmed up either. So
I'm hoping the alcohol has made my throat a little bit better.
We're going in cold. It'll be great. It'll be great. Yeah. So I was just thinking we'll start right before the chorus. So how about when I find myself in times
of trouble, Mother Mary comes
comes
to
to
me,
me,
speaking
speaking
words of wisdom.
wisdom. Let it
Let it
be.
be,
Let it
let it
be.
be, let it be, let
Let
it
it
be,
be.
yeah, let it be.
Speaking
Speaking words of wisdom,
wisdom. Let
let
it
it
be.
be. He.
I love it.
I love
Yay!
it. That's so good. I love that song. I think that song has always been a comforting song. Beautiful. You're amazing, Theresa Smith-Levin, Central Florida Vocal Arts, Opera del Sol, a million other things she has going on. And she has such a big, giant heart.
Thank you.
And she is a close friend of mine and the TED Show. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate
Thank you
you.
for having me, Ted. You guys have a great day. Stay well, stay safe. Mwah.
Stay safe. Hashtag making art heals hearts, guys.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
See you
you.
later.